Mm-hmm. We need an intro.
Hey everyone, it's Penguin Bon here with Dan Darrellmon going over some One Piece for our Unscripted Fridays this week. Um, Gotta change my thing. There we go. Now we're full screen. So today, for those of you who do not know, the ban list went into effect. Actually, not into effect. It went up on One Piece's website for the beginning of OP3 at pre-release, oddly enough. So it makes me think they're going to do something different with pre-release. Well, I guess because Kabaji
Yeah.
is an OP3 card, but we'll get to that. The first card on the list is one that my friend here is not too happy to hear about. Moby Dick is officially banned starting OP3 pre-release. According to Bandai, this card has proved to have much lighter demerits than intended when played with OP02 Edward Newgate and meets the conditional if you have one life or less card, which, I mean, they wrote both those cards. They knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Also, since it's a stage card, it is difficult to remove from play, and if the conditions remain met, it tends to drastically quicken the match. In addition, when played with OP03 ISO,
So
the
yeah.
the required condition becomes very easy to recreate. This makes it commonly used in tournaments and raises the chance of winning too much, which unfortunately reduces the range of tactics that makes the One Piece card game fun. For this reason, this card is being placed on the ban list. Thoughts?
All right, man. So I'm not like a One Piece meta connoisseur, right? But I don't think this was a good call. Yes, Moby Dick is very powerful when I have one life or less, and it makes all my swings at a ridiculous amount. I think what made Moby Dick too strong is it plays itself out of life, where most stages they don't, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that it makes it too easy to get on the board. But Izo, all Izo is a searcher, right? That Whitebeard doesn't have right now. But there is a one cost event that nobody plays, but you could use to do that same effect. So I don't. If you're gonna ban it because I can search for it in OPO3, then you should just ban it now because I can do that right now and it doesn't make a difference. But there's a lot of decks that have that search ability that makes their deck super consistent. So I don't know that Whitebeard is unbeatable just because it get not unbeatable, but it creates a uneven playing field because they can create that environment every game. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of decks because Whitebeard kills itself,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't become lethal until he's at zero life. So if a good player will be able to keep enough counter and be able to play around that, but the average player just loses because they don't know what to do. You know,
Now, do you
um,
think if they eroded it and just made it so it didn't play out of life, it would balance it more, or no?
yeah, I think it would be fine if it didn't play out of life. I think it would be fine. Yeah, I think it would be because finding that two Don to play Moby Dick is not as easy as you think. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to continue to drop bodies so that
Mm-hmm.
when you do get to that one life, that you're able to just swing out, right? But yeah, if you're playing against someone who's controlling your board, like if you're playing against a Kaido or even some of the red decks that play things like Jet Pistol and stuff like that, like they can if they can control the bodies that you're putting on the board, then it really creates an environment where it doesn't make a difference. So I'm really wondering, there's got to be something that I'm not seeing in OPO3 that just makes him just crazy.
Yeah, because like you were saying, in OPO2, most people now are either running Strawbeard or if they are running the Moby Dick version and running Whitebeard, they don't fully grasp how to actually do it and not kill themselves into submission. I mean, we saw it with the finals where it was Zoro versus Whitebeard, where the Whitebeard player just kept taking, kept taking, kept taking. And by the end of it, it was like, okay, I got five bodies on board. Yeah, they're small one cost ones, but I'm just going to swing, 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 swing. And that's, you can't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Whitebeard has enough removal. You have Vista, you have Seaquake, but if your opponent can consistent like Zoro can consistently put bodies on board that are swinging, I think it puts him even with him being at 6, I think it puts Whitebeard in a weird situation. I
Well, and
know when I played in the
it's
regional, I beat Whitebeard just because I just continued to play bodies. That's
well, and it's like you
what
said, it's also one of those weird ones where if you go second and you have it in your starting hand, tapping that 2 Dawn to put it out is not a question. It's just like Kaido. If you go first, turn 2, you have the 3 Dawn, you drop the island. There's no question about it. But like you said, once you hit 4, once you hit 6, once you hit 8, it gets a little bit more like I know with Navy, if I hit 4 and I have a choice between Borsalino or saving 2 for my option, I'm dropping Borsalino because I need that card. Whereas
yeah,
with Whitebeard, if you have a choice between Marco and the stage, you're going to put Marco out every single time.
for sure. And I think that the other problem with Whitebeard, and I've been reading a lot from like people who play in the Japanese meta about like what is pretty common errors people make with Whitebeard. Most people just swing the 6 with Whitebeard, and that's actually not correct. You should probably try to swing 7 or 8 so that your opponent is not going to block, because and so that's that 2 Dawn that you're looking for to play Moby Dick. And that's why I think Strawbeard is probably a little bit more popular because you can do things without depending on the stage. But so if you're playing against a Whitebeard and they're swinging the 6 because they played the stage on turn 2, um, man, all you have to do is just shield it out. It's just really resources. Whitebeard is gonna run out of resources for sure. Like they're gonna drop their hand to protect Marco, even though they probably shouldn't. And they're gonna just kill themselves the whole game. So as long as you just counter out in the beginning, I think towards the end, like you just have too much advantage over them. So when they are making these big swings, you can just take it and then hit them on the crackback. So I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. And in OP3, Ezo is just like busted, and you get Moby Dick every game, and it just makes you ungodly powerful. But I don't know. I do think the game does need more stage removal. That would be good. But Digimon went through the same thing. When Tamers first came out, there was no removal for them, so they were just so oppressive. So I think if when Kaido, because I'm biased, when Kaido gets the stage removal card, I think Moby Dick will come back.
I mean, Navy does have a stage removal card, but you have to hit it out of security in order to kill the stage, which is sort of crazy. But I mean, even to your point, looking at Eggman's list, shout out to Eggman for putting these lists out from regionals. Amazing work. Darren was just saying, God's work. Don't have
Yeah.
to look. It's there. It's great. But top 16 leaders at Carta, you had 3 Newgate, and at PPG, you had 3 Newgate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really seeming like it's, at least for top 16, flooding the field like it should. Now, for a breakdown, you had 67 at Carta and 55 at PPG. So it was third
But
most for PPG and third most for Carta. But again, you're not topping that much.
and even with those new gates, all those new gates were Strawbeard, so they're not even playing Moby Dick. So how is it that good of a card? And maybe everybody when they saw, because I think it got announced before the regionals, maybe when they saw it, they were just like, "Oh well, we're not even going to invest in trying to play Moby Dick. We'll just do Straw Hat." So
Now, to be
yeah,
fair, there were probably a few playing Moby Dick, but definitely, at least from the ones that I faced and saw, I didn't see many.
yeah, but in top 16 there weren't any Moby Dick,
Oh, yeah, true.
which is great. So it just shows that maybe it's not as oppressive as they think it is.
Oh, wait, no, there was one. Jesse.
Okay, okay.
Jesse was 15th with a Moby Dick build. Looks like he ran 4 of them with more of a defensive build. We'll go over that in a second.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, moving on, though, to one deck that I don't play,
I mean,
but I am going to want to play because you know me, I hate blue. I hate blue in all forms. I tried Crocodile, it failed. I was the team, I guess, gopher for getting everyone to have practice against blue hybrid when that was a thing in Digimon, and I hated my life for it. But you have Kabaji, who did come out in OP02, but because Nami was not a leader, really wasn't a big deal. Kabuji is on play. If you have Moji on board, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand, which doesn't seem like a lot, especially with the Ivan build. Yeah, you're drawing 2, trashing 1, but it's not as crazy as with Nami, where if you have no cards, you win the game. So for Kabuji, they said, when played with OP03 Nami, this card promotes play-to-win tactics without making any attacks and ignoring the offense and defense tactics an opponent can use. Also, this card's effect to draw cards based on trashing cards allows players to reduce the number of cards in their deck more than expected when paired with other cards like Overheat and Zeph. It's been confirmed that decks that use OP03 Nami can be set with other cards as well and not cause problems. In the end, to maintain a healthy play environment into the future, this card is being placed on the banned card list. Now, I don't know how much you know about OP03, but there's the Chef, is when you land an attack, you trash 5. Sniper King has basically sort of the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel like they're taking more of what's going on? Because this is obviously was in the Japan ban list originally. Do you think they're just looking at it as, well, with One Piece, unlike Digimon, it doesn't really add up, but One Piece is more so, if it's popular in Japan, it's going to be at least semi-playable in the States, so we should just go ahead and nip that in the butt now.
You know what it feels like they're doing with One Piece that they don't do in Japan? It feels like they're future proofing. I think this hit. I know what they're saying here. It has to do with Nami, but I think there's more to it. I think there's just cards that are going to come out in the future that make it that this is a tactic they don't want to continue to support as heavily as they are. So I think they're just future proofing the game, and without really knowing how easy it is to do this, deck, because Nami is the leader that wins if you deck out, right?
Yeah, if you get rid of all your cards and you can't draw, you... Or actually, no, it's if you have no cards in your deck, you win instead of lose.
Yeah, so I could see maybe they just printed one too many cards that let you draw, and so they just realized, okay, we have to hit some card, and so Kabuji unfortunately was that card.
But at that point, you have the cards from OP1 where it was the one Alberta, not Alberta. Oh my god, I'm blanking so bad. The one big chick that Kobe was on her ship at the very beginning of the whole thing.
The one that got the slip fruit?
Yeah.
Not the slip fruit. She got the. I think it is a slip.
Alvita? Is it Alvita?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Where she was like, you can trash one. Here, I'll pull it up. Alvita, One Piece, TCG. Gotta love all things freaking Google. You may trash 1 card from your hand, return one of your opponent's costs with characters with the cost of 3 or less to your owner's hand. Now, granted, that isn't doing the same thing, but you're also trashing cards. You're basically building cards in to do it. You have Boa, which is on block. You draw 1 if you have 5 or less. You have Doflamingo that lets you look and reorganize. You have Perona that lets you look and reorganize. It seems like there's a lot of other cards that can do worse for it than this one. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. This is out of my wheelhouse. I don't play that deck.
I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see for sure when it actually does come around. But right now, at least from the way I'm looking at it, Kabuji didn't seem like as big of an issue as other cards could potentially be in that deck. Especially since you have to have another card in play to even activate his ability.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. I think it's some future proofing that's happening there for sure.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, you can have other cards that are Moji because it just says specifically Moji. So, like Digimon, you can have 3 different, ties, 4 different Izzies, and that would do it. I could see that. So, moving on from the ban list, of course, red being the bigger conversation, blue, since we don't really know, we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on to, we had our regionals. It was my first time playing in One Piece big event. I know a few people have played in Treasure Cup. Uh, was not as, I guess, into the game at that point when they were
Mhm.
putting out the signups, but with PPG and Carta Magica happening, I guess we'll cover Carta first. It looked like Zoro, of course, took down Carta. I don't know if that was much of a surprise to anyone who actually knows what Zoro does, especially with, as one of our teammates does with Law, it's called a weenie wall. A lot of low cost. You put them up, they block everything. With Zoro, it's a lot of low cost, and you just swing. You find and you swing. Did anything on, at least for Carta, I know for PPG you have one that you're super happy about, but for Carta, looking at that top 16, did anything really stick out and you go, oh, that was an interesting choice for a leader?
So I think that I have definitely have an interesting take that there are some leaders that I wasn't on my radar going into OP2. I knew that Black was new, so like people would play it, but I completely underestimated how good that card was, man. Smoker is crazy. And even Zephyr, I underestimated Zephyr too. I thought Zephyr wasn't nearly as good as it is, but I'm surprised that it made top 5 at Carta. Like that's crazy to me. So, but this and as we talk about some of the other tournaments, I'm starting to see it's reminiscent of Digimon when it first came out. The first couple of sets, it was very rich with people playing different colors and being very creative with their decks. And so One Piece is in a place right now that really any deck you play is viable. If you are a good pilot, I think that you can make it work. So, we saw things like Ivankov make it. We saw Zephyr. We saw Smoker. We even saw Law, which a lot of people didn't think could even compete right now because of what's going on. So, they, it, I'm not surprised. I thought that we would be full of Kinemon and Whitebeard and Zoro, but it seems like at least in our meta, we're kind of playing what we want to play. It's not necessarily people are just kind of lending to what the meta says we should. Though Zoro is still really good.
Zoro is crazy. Zoro's quick, and
Yeah.
if you don't have the cards to defend it, or if they just have like the god hand, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, but it shows you that it maybe it's not a problem though, because they hit Moby Dick because they thought that Whitebeard is an issue. So Zoro must not be that big of an issue if they don't think it's important to hit it as a card, hit anything in its deck as a card. So yeah, I'm still excited about the meta, for sure. But nah, there wasn't anything besides Zephyr. I was definitely surprised by Zephyr. And then when I played against, it's not this guy, but I played against another dude. I was like, oh my, I don't even know what your cards do, but I'm just like blown away by how like much synergy is here right now.
See, Zephyr wasn't as big of a surprise to me as Ivankov was with that deck. The leader ability, if you have no cards, draw two. I didn't see. I played four different Ivankovs, and no one ever actually used his ability. They got
Mm,
up to the seven, dropped the seven cost, dropped the Luffy, and by that point, my Borsalino was gone every single game. And I'm like, what the hell just happened here? If you can't kill that Luffy, that double attack, like they'll swing 10, 11 with it just to try and get that double attack off, and they'll bounce your blocker in the same step.
yep.
And I think I was woefully unprepared for that. And now I'm still not prepared for blue because at that point I'd have to put like 5 cost Hina in and change my deck to basically be ready for bounce protection.
Yeah.
But I feel more comfortable playing against it. But it's like you said, just when you saw the Zephyr deck, if you don't know what it does or don't have someone in your group who plays it, it's you just lose. You're just like, oh shit, that does that? What? No.
Yeah, you just lose. I think definitely I've been really excited about these dual color, some of the dual color leaders from this set because black being a new color, anything that has black with it, it's always going to be a surprise because you're like, okay, you have purple, so you have that field control, but then also black is going to allow you to lessen people's values. So then that makes your king even worse because he can come in and really kill two of anything now.
Mm-hmm.
So Zephyr definitely has some combos with the Kuzan that are just crazy, man. So That was one deck that I played against that losing felt really good because I was just excited by everything they were doing.
Oh yeah, and that's one of those. Like you said, if you have Kuzan on board, you swing it. You get -4 to a 6 cost. You drop that 7 cost king, it all of a sudden kills something it wasn't gonna touch before. And
Yeah,
it's like that.
two
Oof.
things, two things off board. You're like, what?
Well, let's be
Okay.
fair. It was gonna kill the small blocker anyway.
Well, sometimes, man. I know when the guy played against me, he killed my queen and my king all at the same time.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, I said, GG, you got it. You got
It's like,
it.
yeah, thanks. Shake my hand. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
So looking at, I know now this is the one I know you're super excited about. Looking at PPG top 16. What's your deck? What's
Hey,
your
man.
big surprise?
I tell you guys this all the time. So I just I guess for everyone who doesn't know, I just caught up in One Piece like this year. I caught up to in the anime, and I watched the whole thing with my girlfriend. And ever since we saw Magellan, like every arc after that, she always says like nobody can beat Magellan. Like that's just they couldn't beat Magellan, and I believe that. So seeing that Magellan made top 16, crazy, crazy, crazy. I've been playing. I play Kaido, and I wanted to kind of dabble in Magellan, but everybody was like, "Just play Kaido. He's infinitely better." But this Magellan being top 16 gave me hope. I'm gonna try it. I need to get a couple more Magellans, and then I'm gonna try it because it is awesome. Messing with other people's Dawn seems like the way. It seems like the way.
I mean, especially since you got Sadie who can play out the blocker, and then the blocker is what you -2 on
Well,
deletion. Like it's just crazy.
from what I understand, what you don't ever you play the Sadie to play the double attacker Jailer Beast,
Mm-hmm.
and since you do that turn two, like so you go first and then turn two drop Sadie, then drop the Jailer Beast that has double attack. That's 7 costs worth of value you were able to play turn two. And then, if your opponent can't answer that double attacker, you're put in a position where you have to continue to counter out or they're gonna just eat through your life. So and there was no effort to do that. They just needed those 2 cards in hand. So
Yeah, because
yeah, I think the deck is
Sadie's a 3 cost that plays a 4 cost.
correct. Yeah.
Like you can on turn 2, you can have a pretty decent sized board if you have the right hand, and then
Oh,
both of the Jailer Beast on KO. Since you have Magellan as your leader, you add a Dawn and you rest it. Like you're ramping up. By turn 3, you're at 6-7 Dawn if you play it right.
yeah, because they have to answer them. They can't leave the Jailer Beast there because he's just a threat. That double attack is a threat. So they have to kill it. So they let you ramp. So that's how they get around not having their own island. But yeah, the deck is cracked. Hell's Judgment. I'm surprised that it has slid under the ban list radar because that option is disgusting. To -3,000 to 2 things, and one of those things can be lead is just devastating. Um, yeah, that deck is good, 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 good.
Well, it's like
I,
you said, with that, you basically you -3 from the lead, you -3 from the other thing that can swing. They get one attack and then either have to waste on to get a second one, or they're just finding something else to do in passing, but it interrupts so bad that you're just like, my game plan is now out the window. What the hell do I do?
yeah, most people pass, and the trigger out of life. It sometimes is relevant. It puts back a Don from your
Mm-hmm.
opponent if you come out of life. Sometimes that's the difference between your opponent being able to finish, the turn by dropping something big or not, or even having the Don. I know I beat Whitebeard with that because I sent his uh, Don back. He wasn't able to counter out. I don't know why he picked the Don that was active. I guess maybe he thought he had to, but yeah, that's how I was able to beat him. So, but I will say, as much as I love Magellan and I love this deck, I think it doing so well has a lot to do with most people don't know what the cards do. I think when a set first comes out, people don't really know what the cards do, and Magellan wasn't on anyone's radar, so I'm sure people weren't even playtesting against it. So when they drop the 5 cost Magellan and say, "Oh, you have to put your Don back," and then if you kill him, you have to put 2 more back. people that really don't know how to adjust their play style to not be able to play their cards on curve, be thrown off, and then all this aggression. So I think as the meta continues, we'll probably see less Magellan, unfortunately, and more Kinemon. I think Kid is gonna come back, but um, kudos to Tyler for getting fifth, man. You're my hero. I'm gonna get a T-shirt made for you.
Must play Magellan or
Yeah,
always love Magellan.
yeah.
Yeah, I think Magellan was probably mine. I was the other thing that surprised me about PPG, and it wasn't even anything that placed. It was that there were 6 Kinemons in the top 16. I
That's
played against like two, and just I ran through, and I'm like, I don't know if it's the play style or I'm just getting lucky or they're just getting unlucky. I still have yet to fully, at least in tournament, play against a Kinemon that really had me thinking. Now in practice, granted, we have our own teammate that plays green, so we have the practice against Kinemon. He taught us what it did, so we sort of knew going in. But I don't feel like with that deck, you ramp up to the 8 cost Kinemon, but if you leave that thing alone, you still win. It
yeah,
feels like too
Odin.
many people
Yeah,
focus on Odin. Oh yeah, 8 cost Kinemon, 8 cost Odin. My bad. It feels like too many people focus on the 8 cost and they're like, oh, I have to kill it right away. And it's like, why?
yeah. It's the double attack is a threat, but yeah, yeah. You just leave him alone because he's gonna play Okiku, and that's even more annoying than Odin, I think. Um, but I wasn't surprised by that. I think a lot of people are thinking Kinemon is the best deck in format, and I really believe in my heart of hearts that Kid is probably the better green deck. I know everyone says it's Kinemon, but I really think it's Kid.
I
I
mean,
think
Kid can do what the 8 cost Odin can do as a leader.
right, and he can do it anytime. Like he can do it like it's so good. Uh, yeah, I think that he's just better. Yeah, I think that he's just better. But like I said, as the meta continues, I think people are going to shift back to what they know. I think Kinemon is the new thing on the block. So, and that's why we see, um, there's more representation of it in the top 16 because more people were playing it.
True. Now we have
Yeah,
two more regionals coming up this weekend. We have Saturday and Sunday. I think they're both through Top Cut.
yeah.
Prediction on final table each day.
Honestly, I think it's gonna be Zoro Kinemon again. Only because Zoro is just so consistent, and I think it's too early in the meta for something like new-ish. Even though I did say Kinemon, I think Zoro is tried and true, and I think everyone who played it last set is just going to continue to play it this set. And so if you were good with it last set, then you just continue on your path and continue to win. I think, but to learn a new deck right now, I don't know that it'll do well. So I do think that Zoro. But what I'm hoping, I would love to see it be something like Kid or Smoker at the top table. Um, I just want to see somebody that's like not thought of at all win it. I think there is a room that Law could win if there's the right pilot.
I mean, Law did come in second at PPG. I know they weren't on the final table. That was through tiebreakers.
Uh huh.
The final table, I think, got third or fourth. I forget who was actually on the final table. But
But
like
that's
you
that's
said, it's pilot based. You can be a great pilot with Law. I mean, we see it time and time again.
mhm.
The deck doesn't have to be unbeatable. You just have to know how to run it inside and out.
Yeah, those loud tryhards. I think the Achilles heel to Zoro is that it was the top deck in OPO1. And so a lot of people know how to play against it now and are teching for it specifically. So I think the good pilots will still make it to top 16, but I think that there's a chance that other people could win because they're prepared for that. That and Kinemon, I think people are prepared for. So
Well, and the other downside with Zoro, at least in this new meta format, is it plays a lot of one cost. And
Yep.
killing a one cost is, I mean, Navy can do it pretty simply. Purple just eats it up. Law,
So
it's like, okay, great, you play one cost. I'm just going to shambles a whole bunch because I'm going to play one cost too. It's just, there's too many ways to kill a one cost that would make me not feel comfortable running like 4 of the Sunny and 4 of the Nami. And
you know
um,
what though? A lot of people aren't playing things that kill one cost because of that. So many people are saying that they're not going to run one cost or low blockers because it's so easy to kill. And I think that's why Zoro is flying under the radar. That people are not playing cards that kill them because of that. I know even with Kaido, people have moved away from playing as many kings. They just started that king to kill 4 costs because there's not that many 1 costs running around or 3 costs that went around. Shiryu is not being played right now. Whitebeard can kill things with Seaquake, but Seaquake and Vista are not enough to really keep up with the weenie wall that you can create with Zoro.
true.
Um, so I think that it's still worth doing unless you run into black. That's what you can play against any other color and you're probably good. But if you run into black, you can just wrap it up, man. You're not. It's over. It's over. You made all their stuff live and they just kill you for free. Like,
I
yeah,
will not argue with that. Minusing 1 to a Nami and then having a smoker that has double attack on top of a leader that now has 7k for free, like that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So you just gotta dodge it. So I think maybe Zoro will fall in popularity if Black continues to rise in popularity. I think that might happen.
Well, and the other
But yeah,
downside with Navy though, especially against Zoro, if Zoro runs enough Whitebeards that they find them quick enough, if they get 2 Whitebeards on board, it's hard. It is
yeah,
very, very hard to deal with. Now, if they brick, I mean, you pretty much just swing through everything. Or when they suspend Makino to give Nami plus 3k or whatever, you're ending up killing 2 things as long as you have the board control with it. But that's what a lot of people need to learn with Zoro is it's not so much about chipping at Zoro's life because they don't run as many rush cards anymore. You're not running 12 rush cards. You're not running 4 Sanji, 4 Luffy, 4 Zoro. At most, I think most people are running 6 rush cards.
hmm.
And even at that, it's kill the small stuff. Yeah, they're going to have to spend Dawn on a rush card, but block it. That's all you got to do.
Do you think that Smoker is trapped behind a paywall?
Oh, that's a trick question. I
Yeah,
think it's. I don't even know if it's trapped behind a paywall, because yes, it's expensive. Building that deck and finding the cards for that deck is pricey. I think it's trapped mainly behind an ideal wall, where it
mm,
is a different form of playing than most people are used to, because it is control like purple likes to do,
yeah,
but it's also on the same stage as red where you have to attack quick.
hmm, hmm.
And unless you can board control and manage the board state fine, you're never going to win with Smoker. You have to be able to manage the board.
Okay,
And I feel
yeah,
like with Navy, not a lot of people want to do a full on board control. They either want to do Zoro where they can put 5 creatures out or 5 characters out and swing, 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 or
yeah,
they want to do like with King and Kaido and everyone, kill your board constantly and then just swing because there's nothing on board. I
yeah.
feel like Smoker and the closest thing I think that can resemble it would be Law, where both of those really rely on the board state. Every
Yeah.
other deck I feel like doesn't as much. Even Ivankov, all
Hmm.
you have to do is have a 7 cost and a 6 cost on board, and you're fine. Your board state really does not matter until that point. But with Law and Smoker, your board state matters 100% of the game at all times. So, like I said, not so much of a paywall, definitely an idea wall, though.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I wondered because I was like, honestly, Black has a really good matchup into the meta, I think, but we don't really see as much of it in any of these tournaments. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of representation. So I wondered if maybe because of all the high cost cards that are in it, because a lot of SRs, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
see,
you run 4 of every single Admiral.
yeah, so I was wondering why that number would be so low. I think there was only 40 or 44 of them in PPG, right?
PPG had 44 and Carta had 43, so. But that was
So
also out of like, what, 400 plus 500 people.
Yeah, that's not a lot. That's not
No.
a lot.
Uh,
So yeah, I want the card the cards are the colors that we saw a lot were Zoro and Kinemon. And I think Smoker has a good matchup into both of them. So I wonder if maybe if that number goes up because people can get a hold of the cards because we know product is hard to get a hold of. Maybe that we'll see a different shift in the meta too. So
True.
yeah,
So
so I'm changing my answer. I'm going Smoker. Smoker's gonna win
Smoker all
this week.
day. Tell you what,
Yeah.
I'll say Magellan. Magellan will take it. One of these 2 days will be Magellan.
Yeah, I really want to see is Doflamingo win only because I love Doflamingo. Like I don't.
I can't stand him as a character.
I
Just
just,
no.
yeah, man.
Rocinante all day. No, no Dofi.
Yeah, man.
So last thing I want to cover, last thing I want to leave everyone with. Me and Darylmon, we actually met playing Digimon. That was our thing for the longest time, and we both still have decks and we both play it. But looking at this as your first regional experience with One Piece, now granted they're both run by Bandai, that's never
Yeah.
going to change. Did you feel more comfortable playing the One Piece regional, or did you miss sort of the swing and pray you don't hit anything stupid in security? And the board state, yes, matters, but you can also raise and have protection in the back and then come up when you're ready.
They're just two different games. What I will say, I didn't think I was gonna like is the best of one format. Because I think like in Digimon, you have that. I don't know what your deck is when I come into this match. I can lose the first game and then clean up the next two because I know what you're doing and I can adjust. But like not having that ability to do that, I think really raised the competition level. I think, and I enjoyed it that much more. Is that we were really both invested in every decision that we made mattered in that moment, and that's why I think that One Piece, and people are gonna hate me for saying this, I think is the superior card game. Given the two of them, because your choices actually matter in that best of one format. And so when I lose, it's not because you have. I mean, I guess it could happen, but every loss that I had, it wasn't due to a gimmick. He just outplayed me, or there was a decision that was made that he outplayed me. It wasn't, like a Jessmon or like a Black War Gray where your deck is just designed to shit on me for 30 minutes. you know? So I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it more. I know PPG, I've said it before, I'll say it again, is the gold standard for tournaments online. I think it was so organized, it ran so smooth, I had no issues, and I got my product in like 2 days. So PPG got me, man. I'll sign up for every one of their tournaments. I don't even like online tournaments, and I'll sign up for every one of theirs.
See,
What about
I think you
you?
made a very good point though with the best of one. It definitely does give you a more my move matters. Every single move I do matters. Whereas with Digimon, okay, yeah, turn one, I'm gonna drop a tamer. I guarantee I have that 3 memory each turn.
Yep.
And yeah, that matters because you get the memory, but at the same time, that move in the grand scheme of things really didn't affect much. Whereas with One Piece, I could sit here with 4 active Dawn and be like, if I drop Borsalino now, I have my blocker, he can't be deleted, but I'm playing this color deck, or I'm playing this person. What will they do when that's out there? Is this really the right move at this time, or do I go back and drop a 3 to maybe have some attacks? Because I'm only going to have a finite number of turns in order to win or lose. I feel like with Digimon, every single game, once it got to regionals, there was always someone going to time. Yeah, they were
Yep.
best of 3, but they were 50-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Whereas with One Piece, yeah, we had a lot of people going to time in these first ones, but I feel like as time goes on and as the product becomes more available, you'll have less and less people going to time, especially since you're not playing for a tie.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, and the doc will hate me for saying this, but it's not like security control where you can fly through the first game, win, and then stall out and
Yep.
win because of a stall out. You basically either have to win or your chances are left up to Lady Luck. because I
Yeah,
think it goes down to like card and deck, characters on board, life, and it's crazy.
I definitely like the mind games you can play too. It's just crazy. I left two Don up. You think I have the option? Like, it's so good, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think it's a really good card game. If you haven't tried One Piece, I would think, and you're watching this video, what are you doing? But go try One Piece. Um, yeah, I'm excited about it. Honestly, I think it's good. It's
Definitely
good.
brings another thing, and it shows what Bandai can do. I mean, you came from Naruto when that all got messed up, but sorry,
I'm
wounds.
still traumatized by that, man. I'm still traumatized. But I think, just card games in general, we're in a really good place right now. It's the market is flooded with different card games, and I'm interested to see what happens with uh Battle Spirits because they're talking about giving real money away. It's
Yeah,
not like where they're talking about I'm gonna give you a card that you could sell. I mean, they're giving real prize money, and I think I would be more interested to see, and I know it's kind of off on a tangent, what those webcam tournament environments are like, because One Piece, like, we're all learning right now, right? And even in Digimon, sometimes people are learning, and you make a mistake, and you're like, "Hey, can I take that back? Because I want to do this in a different order." And someone will be like, "Okay, yeah, sure. It doesn't matter because it doesn't really change the game state." But I think when you're playing for money, people are gonna be rule sharking you. Now you missed the timing, and I think it just becomes a very toxic environment. So I'm definitely interested to see what happens with Battle Spirits because, yeah, they're setting themselves up for failure on that one. I think.
that's me and Lorcana. If Lorcana starts offering like, if you win your store championship, you get a ticket to regionals, which is in Disney World or something like that, I'd be like, yep, I'm playing. Free trip to Disney World. Hell yeah, count
Yeah,
me in.
yeah, yeah. But I think the prize support for One Piece is pretty good. I mean, they give you a lot of stuff that like I do have a bone to pick with PPG, but they give you a lot of stuff that you want, just to kind of pimp out your deck and just be different and show some individualism in your deck
And
building.
it's a
Yeah,
lot more nicer alt arts than I felt Digimon ever was. It definitely, the foiling and the just look of them feel better.
yeah. I mean, it feels like the people that are doing them actually care about the source material.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't like that the Don sleeves weren't Zoro.
I don't think they were ever supposed to be Zora.
Yeah, but that's what the picture was.
Oh, I mean maybe. I haven't looked at it since I was trying to get top 128, which was the Zora sleeves, and 5 and 4
Yeah,
bomb out was not fun.
yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm gonna have to tell Bandai false advertisement. They better send me my right sleeves, or I'm going to the press.
All right, so if you guys see Bandai storming down someone's door on the news, that would be my friend right here.
Yeah, man, I'm going to the press. I'm sick of it.
They're gonna hang up on you. But anyway, that's pretty much covering everything we wanted to cover today. We'll be back next Friday. I think we're gonna do a few more One Piece ones, a few Pokemon ones. Basically, just go back and forth with the unscripted Fridays. It's basically just gonna be whatever card game is in the news that week. We will cover and we will talk about. But other than that, thank you guys for coming out. As always, you can hit the subscribe button down below. We'll also have a link to our Discord where we're doing a One Piece mat giveaway by picking my top 5 waifu from One Piece list, which I've been told is horrible, but hey, everyone has their opinion.
It's the worst take, honestly.
It's the best take ever, and that's what I will leave it at. But
All
again, thank
right.
you guys for coming out. Great having you, and we'll catch you all next time.